content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning. John Mintz does not provide tax or legal advice. All decisions regarding the tax or legal implications of your investments should be made in connection with your independent tax or legal advisor.
Have you ever wondered why the rich get richer and others don't? Could it be that a small percentage of the population pay others to find, study, and execute on legal loopholes that exist with our financial life and make it easier for them to prosper? The answer is a resounding yes. This is the Secrets of the Wealthy podcast with John Mintz. John has spent a lifetime researching and mastering the financial loopholes that he believes should be available to everyone. Join us as we explore different strategies that help you get farther faster towards building and enjoying a prosperous retirement.
Hello and welcome to the Secrets of the Wealthy with John Mintz. John, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Well, I'm great. Speaking of the secrets of the wealthy, I think that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Okay, well, I love that. I mean, that's the podcast name. So what secrets are we talking about?
Well, I intentionally titled this one, What Secrets? Meaning, hey, have you ever, Eric, have you ever told someone what was supposed to be a secret, but then you find out maybe even hours later what was supposed to be a secret isn't a secret anymore?
Yeah, embarrassingly so, yes, I've done that before.
Yeah, right. Whether we're the ones telling the secret or someone else is spilling our secret, it's not something you want to happen. Well, I want the opposite today. I'm going to share some secrets today, but I want everybody to tell everybody. I don't want them to keep it to themselves. That's kind of the idea of this whole show, right? Is to make the secrets no longer secrets. And you know, at the beginning of every episode, you know, it talks about, hey, what do the wealthies do that others don't do, and why are they wealthy in retirement, right? And not only do they carry wealth into retirement, but then typically leave a legacy behind, and others don't, right? So there's a guy by the name of Patrick Kelly. And he wrote a book called Tax-Free Retirement. It's a really good book. And we may get into it in another episode here to come. But one of the things I like that he talks about is how wealthy folks are better at avoiding financial landmines. And what he means by financial landmines is that things that tend to hinder us from making good, sound financial decisions. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to be talking about some of those things that I believe are financial landmines as it relates to folks acquiring, accumulating wealth, and just as importantly, hanging on to wealth today. That's what we're going to be talking about today.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm excited to get into it. So where do we start?
Well, I guess you can maybe call this top 10 list, top 8, top 20. I don't know how long we'll go. We'll see where this takes us. But the first thing I want to talk about, the first landmine I want to talk about is the lack of planning. You know, we talk about, everybody hears about goals and the importance of goals. But when I sit down with folks, I tell them the goal is just the starting point. Or the ending point, if you will. It's the measurement of the goal along the way that's really the important part. In fact, at one point in time, I thought about writing a book, and I was going to call it "What Gets Measured Gets Done." And I never did that. I'm not the best writer ever, but I really believe that. You know, whether it's weight loss, you know, where we're tracking macros and micros and all that jazz, or anything else that we want to achieve, it's off the charts a proven fact that if we measure their progress along the way, the success rate goes up significantly. So, you know, when I talk to people and they're like, why don't I live paycheck to paycheck. Why not just keep living paycheck to paycheck? I said, I don't know. You know, how much do you spend every month? Well, I spend what I make. So, well, okay. So if I gave you a 1,000% raise tomorrow, then you wouldn't have anything left over, would you? And you see this long pause. They just realize what they just said. I spend what I make. And so they obviously are not measuring or tracking what they're spending. And so that's what I mean by lack of planning. Another thing that we can talk about when we talk about lack of planning is people don't get this concept of pay yourself first. So, back when 401k, late 1970s, when 401ks came into existence, they put those on autopilot, right? Meaning they designed the system where the money would come out before you get your check, right? Why do you think they did that?
Oh, we know why they did that. Because they've met people like me who are like, oh, it's in my bank account. Oh, look, this is where I get. It's time to go purchase this.
Yeah, it wouldn't work otherwise. Same thing, why they take out taxes on the paycheck before they give you a check as well. Same thing. I mean, they're not dumb, right? They know better. And they know us as well. So, I use a couple examples from clients I met. And most of folks that I meet with, have anywhere from 200,000 to 10 million. But every now and then I get folks referred to me that don't have that kind of money, and they really have good intentions and want to get better at managing their money. So, my theory you've heard on previous show is that if somebody gets sent to me, I'm going to leave them better than I found them. So I had this one couple come to me one time. And they said, John, we really want to save, but, we just don't have any money left over every month. And, we're hoping you can help us. And I said, just the same thing I do every time. I said, where's your money going? Well, we don't really know. I said, okay, next 30 days, you're going to track every single dollar that goes out of your house. And then you're going to come back in here in a month from now, and we're going to talk about it. And because if I don't know what the problem is, then we can't fix it. But if we know what the problem is, for every math problem, there's a math solution. So they, scamper off. A month later, sometimes they come back, and had this couple come back once, and they said, oh, John, you won't believe. That's how it goes. This is how it goes. You won't believe what we discovered. And I said, no, I probably will believe it, but tell me anyway. And so they said, we had no idea we were giving our teenagers, they had two teenagers, right? 2 years apart. We had no idea we were giving them $1,500 a month in cash.
What?
Because see, think about it, okay? $20 here, $50 there, $150 for the prom. Oh, he's got to go on a date. He needs some money for the date. And I don't want my son just to have any date. He's got a girlfriend. He's got to treat her right. She's going to have a good date. It's just got to go to the movies. Oh, got to go there, eat with their friends, and the club that they're in, and just cash after cash. When you're giving cash, it's not tracked in any way, shape, or form, so you don't realize how it's adding up. And so I said, okay, so now we know what the problem is. So what's the solution? And they were really proud of themselves. They said, oh, we don't need your help on this one. We already figured it out. So we're going to start saving $1,000 a month towards our retirement now. I said, well, good. So what are you going to do with the other $500? They said, we're going to give each of our kids $250 at the beginning of the month. And we're going to tell them, if there's anything left over at the end of the month, you get to keep it. But if it's gone in a week, guess what? I guess you'll be bumming off your friends because you're done. And what do you think happened? So the kids not only adjusted, but they figured out how to have money left over. And now the parents are saving $1,000. So not only are they helping themselves, but they're also teaching their kids too, which is way more valuable than any money they'd ever save, right? So that's just a really cool story about, setting goals and measuring and tracking along the way, and what amazing things can happen when you do that. So, lack of planning, that would be the first financial landmine that you could avoid.
Yeah, and again, one of the things that the wealthy do is they delegate, right? I know that that's one thing that we've talked about before, and planning. You can do some simple planning by yourself, planning your budget, right? Kind of like what you're talking about. I'm going to plan to this, but really it does take that third party, in my opinion, to do planning well. And once again, this couple had just didn't have any idea. They just needed somebody to take a look at it. And you didn't even look at it. You just said, you guys look at it, but here's your homework. And without that third party, just at least holding them accountable, they would never have gotten it done. So, I think that's a great example.
Yeah, accountability partner is definitely one of my roles that I play for sure, and they want that. They don't feel bad about it. They actually want that. They know they want it, and they know they need it. I had a couple call me this morning. Actually, the wife did, and she's been with me. They've been with me, I don't know, 10 years, and she calls me and said, "Hey, John, our checking account is expanding. It's getting bigger, and you need to take some of this because if you don't take it, it's going to be gone." Right, and so they know that after they learn that about themselves, they now know how to beat themselves in a good way, So anyway, and we have this in-house software. I swear it's the best software that's ever created. I don't know how many years I've used it, but it is a software that actually tracks and measures every single financial piece, in your life, to the point where it will track it going forward and tell you where you're going to end up 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, taking everything into account. And so it's one more tool that we have that, someone would have on their own that helps them chart their success along the way and motivate them, right, as well. So you're absolutely right, Eric. Good point.
All right, so what's number two?
Yes, second one, I just call it good old-fashioned procrastination. The enormous cost of waiting is really underestimated. I'll give you a couple mathematical examples. So let's just say that you were 30 years old, and you decided to start saving $500 a month. Okay, and you're going to do that for 10 years. So from age 30 to age 40. You're going to save $500 a month, 6% rate of return, and then you're going to stop saving. You're only going to save those 10 years, never save again. At age 65, you would have about $365,000. You would have put in 60, you would have $365. Now, let's just say that your neighbor is 45 years old. Okay, you were 30, he's 45. And he's going to save $500 a month, but he's going to do it for 20 years, twice as long as you. So he's going to put in $120,000 instead of you putting in 60, and at age 65, he'll have $231,000 versus your $365.
Wow.
So in summary, he's put in he has put in twice as much as a 30-year-old, but has a little more than half as much. Of course, half would be about 180-some thousand. He's got 231,000. So another way to say that he has significantly less than
absolutely.
the 30-year-old, right? But he's put in twice as much along the way. So again, I just want to reiterate that that's the cost of procrastination when it comes to your retirement and your future, right? So that'd be the second landmine. Landmine number 3 is what I call instant gratification. You can buy things right now just by, walking by and swiping your phone. You don't even have to pull anything out of your phone anymore. Every single year, it just gets easier. I guess one of these days they'll have something attached to our brain, and if we think about it, it'll order it. I don't know why we just keep making this easier and easier and easier. It's good. The convenience of it is good, but the end result isn't always good. Here's a comparison for you. So can you think of anything, Eric, that you or anyone else may spend, let's say, $5 a day on?
Oh, well, I don't personally, because I do it at home, but I have some friends, and my daughter has a lot of friends. Coffee every day, iced coffee, hot coffee, venti this, blah 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 that. Those are expensive, man.
They are. I in fact, that was where I was going with this. So it's funny that you brought it up. A Starbucks coffee, I think, is one of them. On average, those things, if you get anything with any bells and whistles, it's an average of about $5.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just say $5 a day. Let's just say that you were just going to just make your own coffee, save that $5 a day, which would be $150 a month. Right now, I know people that do it every day. I know some people that do it several times a day, unfortunately. But let's just say once. Let's say $5 a day, $150 a month. And let's just say we're going to do that from age 30 again. I mean, we could do it longer, but age 30 to 65, that's 35 years. So at a rate of return of 6%, that'd be $214,000 saved.
Wow.
Just giving up the coffee. So, I'm not giving it up, just making it home instead of, going through Starbucks. $214,000.
And here's the thing. I'm going to challenge that. I'm going to challenge your comparison. You ready?
Yeah.
Because who here, by a show of hands on a podcast, I love this, by a show of hands, who here thinks that the average cup of coffee at Starbucks is going to stay $5 for the next 35 years? Right? The price is going up, so that total that you gave is going to be so much higher also. Oh my Lord. I'd love to do the math on the inflation part.
Yeah. See, that's why I keep you around, because even if mathematicians miss good stuff like that. So you're right. Who knows what the number would be? At a 3% inflation. Well, last 2 months it's been 5.4. So who knows how big that number would be? You're right. Yeah, definitely well over $250,000. So, okay, instant gratification. So instant gratification, it is not good. My dad used to say, John, stay away from sexy things, right? Sexy cars, sexy women, sexy investments. They just get you in trouble. So I guess sexy coffee, stay away from it. So, but okay.
That's it.
Next, landmine, following the masses. So sometimes some people come into my office and they say, well, John, what is it that you do that's different? That's a typical question I get, because they may have been with one or two other advisors. I get people that come to me that's visited with 3 or 4 other advisors and didn't do anything with them. And so they're asking me the question, I visited with these 3 or 4 other advisors, and what do you do that's different? And my response is always, well, pretty much everything. And it just sets them back. And they say, well, what do you mean everything? I said, well, because if I do what everybody else is doing, I'm not going to have any success.
Yeah.
And then they say, well, what do you mean by that? Because I deal with most of the folks I work with, unless they're referred to me, are 50 to 55 and over. And so I asked them, I said, well, what percentage of the country is over 60 years of age? Do you know? And of course they don't know. And I say it's 24%. 24%. Wow. And I say, well, yeah, the baby boomers is a big group. And then I say, what percentage of the country is over age 50? Well, I don't know. Well, 35%. So I said more than a third of the country is over 50 years of age. Now, I said, well, what percentage of our country is millionaires? It's 6%. And I said, well, what percentage of our country is 5 millionaires, have 5 million or more? It's 2%. So should we be doing what the 98% is doing, or should we be doing what the 2% is doing? Should we be following the masses, which, everybody has a 401k, and everybody, overfunds their 401k and buys term insurance? That's what everybody, is taught to do their whole life. Well, obviously that's not working. So So maybe we should consider, now I'm not saying 401ks are bad. I'm not saying term insurance is bad. Obviously they're not. When done correctly as part of an overall plan that includes a whole bunch of other good stuff, right? And so following the masses and doing what everyone else is doing usually does not end in wealth. And the story I kind of tell people on that is I say, let's just say you retire today with $1 million in a 401k, $1 million. And let's say that taxes have just gone up, right? And the top tax bracket right now is approaching 40%, but it's about to go up. We all know that. I mean, they're talking about it as we speak. They're talking about it, right? And so let's just say that taxes are going to be 40% in your retirement on your 401k. So now you have $600,000. And let's just say we're only going to forecast you living 20 years. Well, what if I live longer, John? Exactly. That's the problem. But let's just say we're going to live 20 years. 20 years into 600,000, that's 30,000 a year inflated into the future. So what kind of retirement is that?
One where you don't have any bills, apparently.
Well, and they get this look like, oh crap. So that's what I mean. We don't want to follow the masses. We need to have an overall plan that is doing some things that wealthy folks have done for ages and continue to do that works, right?
John, I this following the masses one is kind of bothering me, I'll be honest, because it's so hard not to. And the reason I say that is because all of us are inundated with media, all the time, and we always see somebody giving advice, and somebody has gotten some positive results from it. But the thing is that those people giving the advice, they don't know somebody's specific situation. And I know that's how you work with your clients. Obviously, you get to know them deeply and know what their goals, hopes, dreams are, and all their finances, and that's part of your process. But how do you help, specifically, how do you help your clients avoid those, this landmine specifically, where they're seeing and hearing things? I'm sure they bring them to your attention and say, hey, what about this? How do you help them avoid that kind of stuff?
Easy. One word: education. So, okay. The last show we talked about how the masses travel, and then how I travel. Right. And so, same thing. If you follow the masses, you're gonna deplete yourself of a lot of money when you travel. Or you can follow then, another path. And I got to that path through educating myself. And so you got to educate yourself. I asked existing clients every year. I'll call them. I say, we haven't checked in a while. We need to check in. Oh, John, I'm just really busy. I said, no, you're not. What do you mean? I said, how many hours do you work a year? And you get there, they just stop and, I don't know. I said, I'll help you. It's north of 2,000. Okay. So that's how many hours you work to make your money. How many hours a year you think you should spend learning how to hang on to it?
Wow.
I think maybe
a great point.
Maybe at least one, Joe? You think one would be okay? And so they're okay. Fine, John. Let's have a phone call. So, but that puts it in perspective, because there you go. You're following the masses again, right? You're doing what everybody else. I'm just going to work until I die, and then I guess I'll hopefully have money at the end. No. That's not what we do. So education is the key for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I want to clear something up for those of you that are in the listening audience that are just joining us. Maybe this is your first podcast. John said something there you're probably a little confused about, but the last podcast he did was all about how he's a travel hacker. So you got to go back and listen to that one, because it's amazing. I'm not going to give too much of a spoiler, but two things. Number one, John just got back from another trip to Mexico, where we were talking before we hit the record button. He had a great time. It was amazing. I'm a bit jealous, but that's just me. But in that podcast, I believe, if I'm close to the total, he tells you about how they traveled, his family traveled to the tune of around $34,000, but didn't have to pay a penny for it, which is just nuts. It is absolutely nuts. So go back and listen to that one. And John, the second thing I have to say is, we're really low on time. I know you've got more information. I know you got more landmines to cover. Can we do a part 2 to this podcast?
I'd love it. Yeah, and we don't want to rush this. This is fun stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So you'll come back with more landmines, more things that people need to avoid to better themselves, better their situation, and really cue in on the secrets of the wealthy. So okay. I love it. Thank you so much for today. Any closing thoughts from you for today?
No, I just look forward to the next one, and then at some point in time, maybe we can get into some actual financial strategies and solutions that kind of go tag along well with this as well. So look forward to the next one.
Okay, sounds good. Again, John, thank you so much for your time. And of course, our last thank you goes to you, the listening audience. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to the Secrets of the Wealthy podcast with John Mintz. If you have not subscribed to the podcast yet, please click the subscribe now button below. This way, when John comes out with a new podcast, it'll show up directly on your listening device. This makes it much easier to share these podcasts with your friends and family. Again, thanks for listening today. For everyone at the Secrets of the Wealthy, this is Eric Johnson reminding you to live your best day every day. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Secrets of the Wealthy podcast with John Mintz. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of John Mintz. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.